want them fully engaged in that particular vision from across the organisation.
What about those who say, listen, lady, I got a mortgage to pay. That's your job. You make the big bucks. That's why you get the title and the big bucks. I just want to come in, do my job, go home, look after my kids, pay my mortgage, fill the fridge.
And we've got to accept that that's okay. You're never going to win everybody. And I think that's always a battle when you are working in HR, in learning and development, people development. You're not going to get everybody. And that is okay. What you don't want is for that to be negatively filtering into other people's paths or sort of progressive journey. And you need to make sure that you've got the majority on board. You're never going to win all of them.
Jeremy, do you see those quite quickly? Can you spot those kind of rotten eggs quite quickly when you go into an organization?
I think you think you can. It's very easy to think you can, and also, you'll immediately be told anyway. Everyone will give you their view. But I think I want to just come back to what goes wrong? Why doesn't this all work? Because we seem to all know what good looks like, or have an idea of it. And my view is very simply middle management. I think that's where it goes wrong, and equally, of course, that's where it goes absolutely right as well. You say about the person who just wants to come in, do their job, go home. If you go and talk to them, and talk to your cleaners, talk to all your soft FM guys, talk to these people, actually they are kind of interested. And it might just be because they want to continue to be able to pay the mortgage, or it might be because they have a career aspiration to develop, or, in the main, it's just, as I say, they want to pay their mortgage and they're kind of interested in what might be going on in the business, but it needs to be communicated to them in terms that they understand, without some of the perhaps the speak that the leadership can get caught up in.
Jeremy, so that's easy to say, middle management.
Yeah.
We're all senior managers here, so we're good. But what? Yeah. So what do we do? That's just throwing that out and saying that they're the problem. So what? What are we going to do about it? What's the problem?
Well, what we need to get to is to actually invest and spend time with middle managers. I think the leadership need to take more interest in that community to ensure that they're truly engaged, that they understand the behaviours that is expected of them, the influence that they actually have on the people who are working to them, the teams below them. I think sometimes that's lost a bit. They forget about the influence they have, and also. Where people have perhaps, had a long career, or actually, no, maybe not a long career, but they have a more traditional communication style, and there's a bit more command and control. I think we probably can all think of people in our organisations who are like that. It doesn't work. And particularly then, just to make it even more difficult, the new generations coming into our organisations, they definitely don't get that. Recently someone was talking to me about using the terminology of hierarchy, not hierarchy. And people coming into your organisations, they expect to be able to connect, to be able to share the best practice. They don't want to work in silos. That just doesn't compute. And they want to have that connectivity. They want to have influence. They want to have an opportunity to feed into thoughts in the business. And actually what we've got to work with is, again, the middle management who are putting the levers that control their world to enable and open that up. And that's going to be really uncomfortable. It is really uncomfortable. It's probably uncomfortable to some of us in this room, and I get that. But I think that's the...
I think that's where coaching and mentoring that's where we have noticed, and our senior leadership team are working with that level of middle management to actively support them in supporting their staff. But it is really difficult because you do get, like you're saying, we're bringing in new generations, and then it becomes even a bigger sort of gulf, doesn't it? And like you say, they want to come into an organisation where there's connectivity. They want to be working dynamically in an environment where they feel comfortable, and that doesn't always suit who they're reporting to.
I think just to support what Jeremy was saying, really, I agree that I think middle management has a very important role to play. I think it's helpful to them essential to them if they are able to interpret what the mission of that organisation is. And if the senior management, however we want to sort of delineate the different levels of management, matrix management surely, then we have to have a very clear mission, a very, very clear direction as to what that business, what direction that business is going. And I like what Jane said around, I'll get the words wrong, but around the Millennium Centre, around the fact that you bring the best of the world to Wales and whatever it was. Because actually you think, oh yeah, okay, I can see, I don't need to know exactly what you do to understand what you're trying to the direction you're trying to move that business in. So I think it's very important for us in FM to realise the value that we would bring to be able to interpret the mission of that business, or the mission, whatever you want to say, the strategic objectives of that business. There's been a huge amount, there probably always will be, there's been a huge amount in trade press and in our sector for years now about the fact that FM needs to be more strategic. I completely agree, I think it should be, but how does it do that? I think it needs to actually start to interpret what the business needs are and filter it down to the new guys coming in, millennials, whatever they're called, these new guys that are coming in who are actually much more savvy with technology than I am, or perhaps we are, some of us, too controversial. But I think it's a really important aspect that FM doesn't just get to do the day job anymore. I know I said this before, but we've got to actually say, well, how do we get the best out of the people that we're responsible for? And that's where middle management absolutely has a key bit to play. But I think it needs to be supported by the guys at the top saying, right, this is a direction, this is the plan to get there, go and do it.
I think it also starts with each individual. I think as a profession, we talk about how we fell into FM. We got to stop saying that. That's not professional. There's nothing professional about that. About calling them employees opposed to team members or colleagues or somebody who is more encompassing. I think that instantly changes the way that we think. I think the learning and development, the KPI is absolutely right, but what are we measuring? Yes, they have a training plan, basket weaving 101, we do all the QHSE stuff, but do we actually look at a career path map? Is every organization actually doing that? Are we enhancing their lives? Are we helping them to get further faster? In this room, how many of you are on a continuous learning for yourselves? How many of you enroll yourselves in programs? Because you get to a certain level, don't you, in management and leadership, where people just go, oh, well, they know it all. I'm not going to send them on a course. They've already got it all going on. I mean, I'm a self-help junkie. So I've constantly either on an Audible for books or listening or reading or trying to learn more and more. And I think the other problem within FM is we only fish in our own barrel. And we don't look outside of the FM profession as ways to expand. There's a great book that just came out by a lady named Imogen Privé, and I saw her at the Dubai conference just recently. And she looks at nature, and she looks at all the different types of workplaces and how they're organized to create maximum efficiency. So as a great example, think about the ambulance attendant and what they have to do on the side of a road and how they have to set themselves up where every minute, every second, the way things are organized could mean the difference between life and death. She looked at operating theaters. She looked at coliseums. She looked at theaters. She looked at all these various types of places where efficiency is maximized for the output. And it was really interesting to me to see how we kind of, again, go back to this is the way we've always done it as an FM profession. I'm going to open it up to the panel now, to the audience. If you have any questions, please send them through. Anything that you'd like to ask any of the individuals? Really that late?
Too early.
Yes, thank you. My Vanna White impression. Those of you who are old enough to know who Vanna White is.
Morning, panel. I'd like to ask about the question, the employee should be at the heart of the FM strategy, and how that question sits in the company's cycle. And if I can sort of put the context into that question by asking, how many people in this room, their mobile phone that they've got in their pocket or on the table is a Nokia? Can you put your hand up if you've got a Nokia phone? 2, 3, 4. How many people in this room's first mobile phone was a Nokia?